take time for yourself. There's nothing worse than moving right out of the military into a job. It doesn't fare well for anybody. Take the time to search out your passion and then go earn what you're worth. Don't hold yourself back. Let us help you. Let us at VetJobs and Engine help you understand your earning potential. You've got skills that you probably don't even realize you have. And that's what Melissa's team does really well, is help you earn that potential.
Welcome to TAA Cafe. This podcast is brought to you by the Reserve Component Transition Assistance Advisor Program. With Reserve Component Transition Assistance Advisors, or RCTAAs, located in every state and every territory, RCTAAs are there to provide service members and veterans with information on accessing their entitlements and benefits that they've earned through their military service. This podcast is part of our podcast on veteran employment. Today, I am your host, Chandria Alexander. I am an RCTAA from the state of Alabama, and joining me is my co-host, Ishmael Marcano, RCTAA from the state of Texas.
And with us from VetJobs and Military Spouse Jobs, our Director of Production and Compliance and Senior Program Manager, Melissa Hein and Danette Hayes.
Hi, everybody. I'm Melissa Hein.
I'm Danette Hayes.
Okay, and Miss Hayes and Miss Hines, we would like to thank you for joining us today. For you guys can speak to us more about what is VetJobs and your roles in this organization.
Sure. So VetJobs has been around, well, I guess, how should I start that? We actually became VetJobs in 2019. We worked under the Casey and Military Spouse Corporate Career Network DBA, and then we took over VetJobs in 2019. So we had a little bit of branding confusion there for a while, but we're all the same company. I work with the National Guard and Reserve component programs, which is why we've worked closely with you guys. And also then on the Reserve component with the P3 contract. So VetJobs, 2004, we are your no-cost job placement services from everything, and Melissa can go into more of that, but really everything from helping you start writing your resume, getting it edited, targeted for job searches, career counseling, career assessments. I'll let Melissa go more into that. Our training portal is amazing. So even in the 5 years that I've been here with the Engine program, we have grown so much. And our program has added more and more to it to really address how to retain and also help recruit for the National Guard and Reserve component.
Okay, awesome. So what is the criteria or eligibility for your services?
A service affiliation. We don't ask for a DD-214. And so Melissa, why don't you help him understand what our employment counselors might suggest when they first register on verifying their military service?
Absolutely. So when you have a candidate or job seeker register with our services, they will be filling out an intake form, which asks them, if they're active duty, if they're retired, if they're a veteran. It'll ask their branch. It'll ask, their rank as well. So the more information that they provide us, the better that we can serve the job seeker. And as Danette said, we don't ask for the DD-214. They just typically fill out the intake form when they register.
Okay. Awesome.
We even work with service members who have served time. So I know that a while ago, Admiral Mullen, when he was still in, thought that was one of the best services that we provided. Those who may have been not necessarily honorably discharged. It's really, our goal is to make somebody career and financially secure. So career secure. It's up to the employers to go through the background checks and to make sure that that person is a good fit for their workplace environment. But our job is solely to help really that service member and that family member be financially secure.
Okay. And how is VetJobs organized? Is it regional? Is it local? Is it national?
We're like you guys. We're everywhere. We're all independent contractors. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We are, a lot of our funding comes from private grants and private donations. USAA, of course, is one of our biggest. Activision or Call of Duty, the game, is also another huge contributor. Schultz Foundation, just to name a couple of them, and Boeing. But all of our funds come from private donations or grants.
Okay.
And if you don't mind me asking, when it comes to employment, what are the industries? What are the subject matter of hireability of, what kind of jobs can the veterans acquire?
Any job. I mean, we have Recruiter Connect specialists who work hand in hand with point of contacts at companies that are our company partners. So we have lots of different industries. We also have a job board that has over, I think it's 3.5 million jobs now that we can talent match the job seeker to. So it's unlimited, actually. There's
That is amazing.
I think what sets us apart from other nonprofits is the technology. We actually have been gifted the it's gone through a couple name changes, but it used to be IBM's Brass Ring, Connexa. It's Infinite now, but that ATS system or applicant tracking system is really a game changer for us because it allows us to connect the employers directly with those candidates and vice versa. So when Melissa talks about talent matching, when we talk about sourcing, our Recruit Connect team is working intimately with employers to help source those open positions for them. So for those companies that have a need, we provide that service to them as well. But I don't know any other nonprofit that has an applicant tracking system that does all of it, much like an Indeed. So it's one of the best things that, tools that we have in our toolkit to support the matching and the connecting that service member to those open positions. And our job board. Our job board was created by direct employers. And as you all can imagine, service members, for 3.5 million jobs, I think Melissa said, are out there. That's a big board. And if you don't know where to begin, our job board allows you to actually use your MOS or your AFSC to search. So it really helps take it to that next level to connect in with the civilian side of what is my capability. Here's all my military training. What does that look like on the civilian side? And vice versa. We help our employers understand what that military language means in the civilian world.
That is amazing.
That's a really cool feature. I'm sorry.
No, it's been
that's a really cool feature. And talking about the automatic tracking,
applicant tracking system.
Yes. So what's the name of that software, if you don't mind me asking?
Melissa, this is your field more than mine. You want to take it there?
Absolutely. It's called Infinite Brass Ring. It's a software that we use.
And is there anything a veteran can do to try to make sure they stand out in that system? Because I know every system has its own way of picking up its trends, picking up the patterns or keywords. Is there anything a veteran can do to stand out with that system to make sure that they get aligned with the right employer?
Absolutely. The biggest thing they need to do is target the resume. As we're talent matching in Brass Ring, Brass Ring is looking for those specific keywords. It's looking for, the experience and everything. As long as their resume is targeted, it helps us a tremendous amount in helping them find opportunities that fit their skill set.
And a lot of Melissa's team, that's their job, is to help us. If they're applying to a job on our job board, the Recruit Connect team connects with that career specialist working with that candidate to let them know, hey, this candidate isn't meeting the minimums. They need some work on their resume. So it's kind of a first pass. It's really, when we talk about white glove service, it is an advocate. So that person is connected to that career specialist and they're going to work with them until they get hired. So targeting the job search has a lot to do with it. We also offer training through our training portal that has classes on how to target your job, your resume, how to work on career, cover letters, and a lot of other readiness activities to support being able to apply for those jobs and get through the applicant tracking system. We all know it's a game, right?
So that's all comes part of the services that are provided at your organization, where they can have their resume specifically catered to that individual job.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Nice.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So how do a service member or a veteran go about applying for those courses to ensure that their resume and et cetera is in alignment?
So if they're a National Guard or Reserve component, they can go out to the National Guard Employment Network website. I can share that link with you guys. I think you have it. If it's VetJobs or military spouses, they can go through our vetjobs.org or .com site as well. Either way, it's going to get to us, and that training portal is available to anybody once they register, or they can register directly through the training portal. But if you just follow the prompts for training, there are 3 different tiers to training. So the first tier is really focused on job readiness. How do we get you into that job? The second and third tiers are based on skill sets. Say you have a service member who's leaving the military and he wants a career in cyber. We offer those cyber trainings, all at no cost to that service member. And they can go and they can work with their career specialist, and then they work with the training specialist to make sure they get set up for those.
Okay, that is awesome, because I know a lot of times you hear service members when they're transitioning out of the military and into the civilian world, a lot of times they don't know which direction to turn. So having those different individuals to assist with training and how to fix their resume and how to apply those soft skills or those MOS related skills to the civilian world is a very intricate part of readjusting. I definitely feel like so that's great. That's great.
Regarding the training you mentioned there's some training for the cybersecurity. Is there any other type of form of training that's provided in addition to the cybersecurity training that's already given?
I think we have over 32 professional development modules available. So we use Coursera outside of cyber. So I know at one time we had the PHR out there. So anybody who is interested in human resources, that might have a cost associated with it, but it is a limited cost. But a lot of it sounds cliche. There's almost something for everybody out there as far as the coursework goes.
Awesome.
Would it be possible to potentially provide a range as to, as low as free, obviously, as to as high as how much, and for what kind of course would that be, or what would it entail?
Well, if I understand your we try not to have a charge for the training. So we only work with organizations that aren't going to charge or have the service member use their GI Bill, or in the instance of a guardsman, use that $4,000 stipend that's available to them every year. Well, and some of these courses are upwards, as you can imagine, those cyber classes are upwards to a $10,000 investment, and there is no charge for that service member or that spouse who wants to take that class. What happens is, though, some of the courses, there might be a fee for the test. Say you want to go into real estate, or you're looking at going into insurance, and that's part of the Coursera. So the coursework is available to you, but the test, you have to take the test, will cost you. That is state regulated, and those are laws that are set in every state for some of those types of professional fields. But other than that, we work, most of what we offer is at no cost.
Okay, awesome. So it's the curriculum for the most part is covered. It's just the testing portion at the end that would not be. But obviously, that's a disclaimer that's given early on,
right? So
they're well aware.
And I think there's some of the courses, and correct me if I'm wrong, Melissa, because I know your team works with this as well. It could be anywhere from 40 credited hours, so you have up to 6 months to complete, or up to a year, so they're self-paced. Some of the other courses, though, are what's the word I'm looking for? It's not live anymore, but it is live, but it's being taught over, kind of like
virtual.
Thank you. I'm having a brain part there, but anyway, so virtual. So those are within a certain time frame, like a week. COVID changed everything for that. Our training portal has really, really ramped up, and I think COVID allowed us to offer more opportunities because of the virtual and online capabilities.
That's definitely a convenience. So what impact do you hope that VetJobs have on the veteran community?
Get them hired. Get them in, you know,
Yeah.
a lot of what I tell the guard, and I know Melissa's team is really, really good at this. We can get anybody a job. You can come in and we can get food on the table for you in 24 hours. We can set you up as ZipRecruiter or whatever, send you off and get you food on the table if that's your immediate need. But the goal of VetJobs and the goal of the Engine program is a career. How do we help? There's absolutely no reason in America today why a service member has to work 3 jobs to make ends meet. That's wrong. It shouldn't happen. And I think the best mission of VetJobs and the Engine program is to secure our families so that that doesn't happen to them. And so we get what we call a lot of retreads. I'm using Melissa's language here, but retreads actually come back into work in the system 2 or 3 years later. So now they want to go get promoted. So they're going to go take some training. They're going to go work with a career specialist to beef up that, resume, that skill set on the resume. That is something that I love it when we get retreads. I know Melissa does too.
Yeah.
Because that is just another indication that what we're doing is working. And so for us, I think the best part of our mission is that career. It's financial security and making sure that they're happy. If they're still in the guard, that they're retained because of that career option that we offer to them.
Awesome. So I know you all, you of course you have Engine that will assist with resumes. Do you all have anything in place for like interview prep? I know I'm one individual that I literally struggle with interviews, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I will do amazing in this role, but I get in front of someone and I probably freeze, and I'm like, but I really would be suitable for this position.
No, I can totally relate because I'm nervous too. I'm a nervous person. I cannot do interviews very well, but let me play. No, I'm not. My career specialist, that is one of their specializations. They will do mock interviews with our job seekers, and we'll do as many mock interviews as we have to get that person ready. So, we not only just do your resume, we do mock interviews, interview prep, say if somebody's going for an interview, we start with, hey, this is how you're supposed to dress. Don't forget your deodorant. That's really important. Don't be chewing, gum. Don't be using your hands like I am right now. Things of that nature. So we don't, we just don't stop at resumes. We also do LinkedIn optimization too, to ensure that job seeker is putting the best foot forward. We referrals to training, as Danette was talking about. And we also do that talent matching, help them with their job search, help them think outside the box, because most people go to what, Indeed or LinkedIn. There's tons of places you can go look for jobs. So we do all different types of things to get everybody career ready and have them, obtain that employment.
Our LinkedIn optimization training is one of the best.
Yes.
I did it. It was 15 minutes. And what I learned in 15 minutes changed the whole perspective of what my LinkedIn profile was getting me. I didn't want a job. I wanted employers to come to me to hire military, but that's not what my LinkedIn profile said. Right. Literally tweaked 2 or 3 sentences, and the next day I had I shouldn't say just next day, but within the next week I had 57 employers reach out to learn about the program, to find out how do I hire military. So we think it's just post your resume out there and people will start calling you. It's not. There's a whole, a whole gamut of things that you have to think about before you even, post your picture, such as your background, right? And your picture. So it's not Facebook, it's LinkedIn. And we tell all of our candidates, if you're not on LinkedIn, you're not getting hired, because that's the first place our recruiters go.
Oh, that's a good tidbit to push out there. So it's very important to have some connections with LinkedIn. Yeah. I don't think I personally have a LinkedIn. So that's a good trinket for me to put in my toolkit.
Yeah. If you're comfortable in your job and so on and so forth, it's just a nice place to update it once a year, stay in touch, and build your network. It's between your school and your military and all the other things that you have in your circle of support, they're all out there on LinkedIn. So just building that network opens up more opportunities.
Agreed. So in terms of a veteran wanting to reach out, what would be the best approach if they, for us, we are also nationwide. We do have individuals that are in state, and then we have multiple individuals in the state. So would it work in that similar sense? Is there someone at a regional level that covers a various amount of states, or does each state have their own individual rep that a veteran can reach out to?
So we're virtual. We're everywhere, and so when they register, they're registering directly into what we discussed, the applicant tracking system, and then Melissa and her team go ahead and align the candidates with the career specialists. She'd have to speak on to how she does that. But so to answer your question, registering to the website will connect you with anybody. And the nice thing is we're either all military spouses or come from the military. So you don't have to worry about any language disparities or, wondering if we even understand each other. And so for us, it's kind of Melissa. For me, it's Melissa doing her magic for the National Guard side.
It's my team doing their magic, not me.
And to pick up on what you were mentioning earlier, so this isn't just for someone who is looking for work the initial time. They can have work, and if they're trying to look to elevate themselves, whether it's a promotion or whether it's finding another job in a similar lane, they can also go to. This is not just for new job seekers or anything along the lines of that, but this is for anyone who wants to elevate their career or start into a new career or get into a job.
Absolutely. We're not like a one-stop shop. You come visit us one time and that's it. We're here for the rest of your life. So you can come and visit us as many times as you want. If you've got, several promotions coming up, you want to, get ready for, get that next level training, pick up some skills. We're here. So, our training, like Danette said, our training portal is awesome.
Okay, awesome. And Ms. Danette, I did hear you say that you all, of course, are military spouses. Do you feel like being a military spouse kind of gave you the insight that services as such were needed in the military community?
Well, I have an HR background too, so I'm post-career. So I have 25 years in human resources, but and my husband was the adjutant general for the state of Illinois. When I heard about this program, learning that it's been in the National Guard community, learning that VetJobs has been out there since 2004, but learning that the National Guard had this program since 2009, I had to get involved. I mean, because there is a need. It's the best kept secret right now in the National Guard, and probably in the active component as well. So the best thing we can do is make sure that we get opportunities like y'all have just presented to us to talk about the program. But there's a need, and I think for military spouses in particular, I think this is such a great tool for them, and it also gives them that tribe where they're connecting also with other military spouses. Because Melissa and I, we're both spouses. We have different our husbands had different types of careers in the military, but we still know what we all went through. It's somewhat similar. And I think that provides comfort to the people who do come in, the spouses that do come into the system, because they can talk about that. And that person on the other end is actually going to understand exactly what they're talking about.
Right.
And hopefully provide some solutions to, ways around that might, we get a lot of military, I listen to a lot of military spouses talk about how they don't feel like the doors are open to them because as soon as they find out they're a military spouse. So we can always help them work on their approach and how to answer those questions to give them the confidence and that employer confidence that, they won't be PCSing in 2 years. And if they do, here's how we resolve that situation.
Okay.
Nice. From the 25 years you've had in human resources, from talent acquisition, HR policy, people management, what would be the one thing that you can say that a veteran brings that the general population normally wouldn't, And how can a veteran now aware of this take advantage of that? What would you say from the 25 years of experience you've had? What is the one thing that stands out that veteran brings to the table?
Leadership. Military provided them the best training in the world, and leadership is the number one thing that employers look to for a military. And they're right. It's trained and it's learned from some of the best in the world, and it's just a quality. It's a soft skill that not everybody brings, especially those who are transitioning out of the military, that you wouldn't necessarily find with a recent college grad, perhaps, who's going into that same role. They're not going to have that leadership quality that the military provides to that service member who's transitioning.
Okay, that is a good soft skill to have. So with you both being, women in a leadership role, and you're providing services, not that, of course, I was a service member, so I'm a veteran as a woman, but you both are in leadership roles and you're providing services to individuals that are predominantly male. How do you all feel about that? I guess I'm just saying, like, how do you all feel about being in a leadership role? Has that, it's just been straightforward with individuals that come up under you? Is it? I couldn't get
Melissa, do you want to answer this? I'll let you go first.
I'm trying to figure out a way to word it.
We know what you're trying to say. That's why we're smiling. So go ahead, Melissa. How do you want to answer that? And then I'll follow you.
Well, I really don't find any issues, honestly. I don't know if it's because, my sweet Southern accent or something. I don't know. But we do have male veterans that work for us as a career specialist as well. And having those job seekers, some of them are maybe a little more challenging and they can't relate to a spouse, or a female who was a spouse or is a spouse. So we have those veterans, retirees is what they are. They'll step in and they'll say, hey, I can help. I can talk their language, so we have a team that really works well together, and we just kind of back each other up. But I always tell my team I'm not their boss. I don't see myself as their boss. We're all equal. We're a team of one, and our job is to all of us are passionate. We want our service members to get job opportunities as well as our military spouses.
So one team, one fight, like the military.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. That is what I try to tell everybody that is under me. Yes.
And I do a lot of face-to-face because I visit a lot of the states. So I probably run into it a little more in a direct fashion than an indirect fashion. I'm always getting that service member who says, but do you have jobs for me? Like me? And I'm like, what makes you so different than the other service members, kind of thing. That's just life. You shake your head, and of course, let's find out what your great skill set is and see what we can do for you. Right? There are positions that we don't fill. There are certain companies and certain cohorts that we wouldn't necessarily work with. And you're not going to come to VetJobs looking for a doctor or a surgeon, or, someone like that. That's a different skill set. That's not who we're looking for. I know on the engine and reserve component, our biggest demographic is going to be your E3 to your E8 probably. So that's the biggest group that we're helping. And on the guard side, especially, some of them have degrees. You can't just assume that these guys don't have degrees. Some of them do have degrees. In today's market, you don't have to have a degree a lot of times. So we're in an employment niche right now that we haven't seen since the 90s. And so college degrees are nice to have, but they're not a must-have anymore. And so, the folks who are heavily educated, male, heavily educated, they're probably more of your type, like, yeah, you're a woman, you can't really help me kind of thing, right? You're a spouse, you don't know what you're talking about kind of thing. And so, I do run into those guys every now and then. But for the most part, we're trying to connect our candidates with that skill set into that whole new genre of employers seeking that skill. We participate in SHRMs, we participate and, you know, a lot with the chambers of commerce across the country to find out what it is that's driving the industry. And, you know, when you've got your top companies in the country and some of them are, you know, defense contractors changing their whole scope of hiring, we have to be able to adapt to that as well.
Okay. So how do employers connect with you? I know we talked about how potential, you know, how service members or veterans, you know, connect with you all with proceeding forward with employment. How do employers connect with you to try and obtain employees?
Same way, through the,
Okay.
registering through the website.
Okay.
And then we have a whole side of the house. So Melissa's whole side of the house handles all the career specialists, and they're artists. Just so you know, I can never talk them up enough. They can take somebody's 4-page resume and help them build that, get that down to a 2-page working document that gets them hired. You know, and I know Melissa hears this all the time too. And when I'm in front of folks, you know, this job was written just for me. I don't know why I didn't get it. Well, once you dive down into why they didn't get it, it could be as simple as you didn't follow the directions on what type of document to send. Or, hey, you're missing a whole skill set on your resume. It requested that information. So that's why Melissa's team isn't just, you know, the talent behind the resume, but they know what people are looking for. They, you know, if somebody genuinely feels that that job was written for them, well, let's find out why you didn't get it. And let's help you get it, right? Let's help you reapply, whatever the case may be. In employers, we have a whole employer side of the house under another manager, Brenda Lee Winans. And so that group works directly with employers. And they're going to work with, you know, those larger companies in particular to help post their open positions and to also work with Melissa's team on talent matching and sourcing those positions for that employer. All at no cost. It's a win-win.
I do have a question, a follow-up question. Because I know some jobs, sometimes they tend to require this. And I know when jobs don't tend to require this, having it is like, whoa, you know, this is almost a gold brand. What about for cover letters? Any chance that if a veteran needs assistance, whether it's a template formatting or just the whole spiel, will cover letters also be something that a veteran can go seek assistance for?
Absolutely. You know, we're just not,
Okay.
like I said, we're not just resumes. We do help with cover letters as well. And as you said, some job opportunities do require them, some do not, but they're always good to have. You know, keep that in your back pocket in case they ask for it. You
Yeah.
never know.
Agreed.
So,
It goes back
Okay,
to the
that's
phrase,
good to know.
it's better to have than not have than,
Right.
you know, than needed, right? So,
yes.
But don't forget to target it along with the resume.
Exactly. Yes.
You can't just send a generic cover letter and
No.
don't use it as a third page of your resume, because
No.
then you'll get thrown out of the applicant tracking system. So if it asks you to support them, they're going to have them upload them separately usually.
Mhm.
There's so many tricks to the trade these days. You know, I hear people say, oh, to get through the applicant tracking system, you just white out your resume. No, you don't. You do not white out your resume, or I mean, turn it all to invisible or whatever it is, white. You know,
Yeah.
you don't do that anymore. That's an old trick. It doesn't work.
Well,
The technology is getting smarter than humans, unfortunately. So
Yes.
The rise of AI,
very scary, isn't it?
helping us, but also being our competition as well. So it's just like, I had a question, but it just kind of.
it kind of went, it is okay. I while you think about your question, I just have a question. It is a sidebar because I was reading up on you, Ms. Hayes, and I did see that you wrote a book titled 400 Days, Chronicles of a Soldier and His Wife During Deployment. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Could you tell us about that book?
You know, so I started writing a travel log. So when my husband got deployed he was a commander for the Kosovo independence back in 2007. And writing has always been my passion. So it started out being a travel blog for me because I was over in Europe with my daughter. I was not command sponsored. As the military goes, we thought we'd see each other more because he would have NATO meetings in Heidelberg. So I lived in Dusseldorf, where my brother-in-law lived. And that didn't happen. So within the first month, Kosovo becomes a hot zone. So I never got to leave Kosovo and never came to Heidelberg for those monthly meetings, right? So I learned to travel and everything. But I think the best part of that book that happened was as I was blogging it, and this was years ago when Amazon was into blogs. I mean, I'm probably predating y'all. So my husband came back and his reintegration was not good. It was a bad experience. And so the best thing for me to do was be able to write about it. So I extended the book into writing about his reintegration and a bunch of other service members' reintegrations and the things that our guardsmen were going through, because it was different. I mean, for service members to come back and then go back to work for the employer and just think that everything was hunky-dory and stuff like that, it didn't work out. So interestingly enough, somebody was following me on that Amazon press board, and I didn't write for a couple of days. And they're like, "You've got to publish this. Let us publish this." So that's how it all started. And he was going through some pretty difficult transition issues, and I didn't write for like a week. And they actually reached out to me and they're like, "You've got to finish this. You got to finish this." So what once turned out to be a travel blog, which apparently I'm not very good at writing, turned into be a story about what happens to our service members when they go out and then come back in, particularly for the Guard and Reserve members who aren't used to that. Wasn't necessarily, I don't want to say it's not what they signed up for. Of course, it's what they signed up for, but it all became, the op tempo became so fast. And I think the families that were left behind were taken off by Guard. You know, they was just kind of like, "Wait, you're going to do what? You're going to go away for 400 days? Wait, what?" And so I think it just helped bring attention to what Guard families went through. We're kind of pros at it now, but it was my way of contributing to helping people relate to what our National Guard families were going through.
Okay, so it seems like you all, of course, have poured a lot into this population. And you ever heard the phrase, like, sometimes you're pouring, or you feel like, or sometimes well, I know personally, I've experienced sometimes we're pouring, and then I end up feeling like, oh gosh, I'm pouring from an empty cup. So did you feel like at any point during that time where you were facing your challenges, did you have the support that you needed?
Hard to say. I think you find it in a different way. Because I wasn't on a military base and I wasn't affiliated with the active component, you find it in a different way. I had support through my family. Afterwards, you know, I think that's probably why I threw myself into family programs. I started working originally a long time ago with Blue Star Families, and then family programs, tried to create a program here in Illinois called the Family Support Brigade. It was to make sure that no family felt like they didn't have some support.
That's awesome. And Miss Melissa, do you have any, because I also read up on you as well, but I did read that you started off as a volunteer and you kind of got, kind of dived more into it, and, you're part of the program more so now. What was it, any challenges that you faced, or was there, you just volunteering and saw the need? What was the turning point for you to say, I no longer want to volunteer, like I want to really be an intricate part of this organization?
Oh, well, I would say the challenges with every PCS my husband did for his 26-year career, and the challenges I saw with trying to find a job. I actually have a background in the medical field, and you would think it'd be easy to find a job, right? No. Some of the small towns, because my husband did a recruiting stint for the Army. Some of the small towns that we went to, no jobs. So I started volunteering actually when I didn't work. So it started out as a volunteer. I was actually helping with the Guard side. I was assisting with the Recon program, which is the program that assists our ROTC cadets in all the universities across the United States, Guam, and Puerto Rico. So that's kind of my little passion, is, helping out our younger generations. So it just started from there, and they, I guess they liked what I did, how I interacted with people, and assisted. So they brought me aboard. And military has always been my passion. My family back home, I have a lot of great uncles, cousins that are military, have served in the military. So it's just in my blood. And I love doing it.
That's awesome.
That's why the 1% never changes, right, Melissa? It's always the same family. It's just more generations of each family who joins the military.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
I do remember that question. I have to remember.
Go ahead, Ishmael.
I don't want to lose it. I don't want to lose it because you know, you did bring up a good point. How with 2020, training and how we learn and how we communicate has drastically changed. Which brings me to this question: are there any job opportunities that are hybrid, that are remote, or are they all in person? Because I know there are some places when you go look for employment, they may be strictly no. For the most part, most places just have in-person opportunities. But what about for hybrid or remote? Is that something that individuals can also come to you for in terms for that kind of employment?
Lots of them. Melissa, wouldn't you say we're seeing almost half now that are remote to hybrid?
Yeah, maybe over half.
Over half, yeah.
We have a lot, yes.
Wow. Okay.
That was a good question, Ishmael.
Well, and I think,
yeah, no, that's good. That's good to know because most places when it comes to helping to help you get employed, I would like to think that it is the hybrid that are hot on the market right now. So it must be easier to find organizations that help strictly for in person. But it's good to know that whether it's in person, remote, or hybrid, regardless of how hot the market is for that type of job, that they could still find some type of formal assistance to try to obtain it. So that's good. It's good to know.
And I think what 2020 taught us is I love remote, but I'm older. I'm post-career. I know Melissa loves remote, although we do like it when we get to see each other and travel.
Yeah.
I think it would be difficult and kind of assuming for somebody just leaving the military who's been surrounded by people all the time to just want to go into a remote role. And we help them with that. I think we offer training, right, on remote, on understanding what remote means,
Yes,
how to work remote versus hybrid. And I think there's a great need for that because it's not everybody is cut out for it. And so hybrid seems to be a good fit for a lot of our service members because it gives them the best of both worlds. And I think more and more companies will be opening back up to a hybrid type of work schedule. But for the most part, remote's hard. And if you're not ready for it, and if you're just leaving where you've been surrounded by a bunch of people, unless you don't want to be surrounded by people anymore, I think that would be a hard transition.
Definitely.
I do have a for you both, if you don't mind me asking, whether it was the turning point or the moment you realized that this is what I want to do. What was that event you've gone through in your life or that you witnessed in your life that made you determine like, okay, yeah, this what I'm doing with VetJobs or this kind of career field I'm in, helping assisting veterans. This is what I want to do, or I know I want to do this. Where was that crossing point in your lives where you realized that?
You want me to go, Danette?
Yeah, whoever goes first.
Well, I can tell you the turning point for me was I had a job seeker who was on hard times, really hard times, and helping them gain employment and how excited and from their words, more human they felt and contributing to their family. That's what drove me. That's my driving force, is helping those people who are, they don't feel human anymore. They don't feel like they're contributing to their family. A lot of our military spouses feel that, and that's where the remote work comes in because, most of them have smaller kids. So you can do remote work and have your kids still at home or have like a nanny, watching them or babysitter. But that just helping that person change their life, that's the turning point for me.
Sounds like passion. It
is.
Like passion.
And that's where the remote part comes in, where it's very I would say it's very satisfying to me to know that there's another opportunity, because I have a lot of friends that are wives or spouses, and sometimes they lose a sense of self because there's PCS, there's deployment, there's wearing a role, that the hat of being a wife, having the children. It's like, where do I find time for me to be who I want to be, or, put things out into the society that I want to contribute to? Where do I go, or how do I go about doing that? So I think that remote aspect is very essential.
And you bring up a good point. Because I think it's a critical issue for the military right now to understand what's happening with military spouses. We have the National Guard Employment Council, and we had a meeting a couple years ago where we were finding that there were pretty senior and long-term service members whose spouses were at this meeting who were like, at 20 years, I want them out. It's my turn. It's time for my career. I put my career, my PhD, my master's, everything on hold. So it's my turn. So I think what I love about this program and what changed it for me is you can have both. We can retain our service members, but let's give our spouses give them back their lives, give them back their passion, what made them happy, and at the same time, that brings that family together, because you don't have to give it up. We just have to help them understand you can have it. It's just in a different form. And so that's probably one of the best, parts of this program and VetJobs is it really addresses those issues. And Deb Kloppa, when she actually started Military Spouse Corporate Career Network first, because she was a spouse whose husband, they'd recently married, and I don't know where they went. I forget the whole story, but she found out she couldn't work. And she goes, "What? I can't work?" And then she started this company. So that was pretty futuristic and forward thinking for her.
Definitely.
Damn straight glad she did, because look at all the spouses that we've been able to help with that. So, to know that you're giving people back the opportunity to be that, whether it's the spouse or the service member, that breadwinner again, it's scary to give up your military career. I can't tell you how many people that we see who come back, who give 30 years to the military. And I just had a conversation. I know, Melissa, I think you helped answer this question. I'm like, why do you want to go work for the feds? Everybody wants to work for the federal government. Your earning potential for a military service member coming out of the military is double what you can make with the feds. Double. And so it always kind of, makes me want to push them, not to the federal program, but go see what your resume, let us help you build your resume where you can go out into the civilian workforce and really set things on fire. So
definitely explore various opportunities, because like you said, you're so conditioned to an extent when you're serving. You're used to being told what to do, when to do it, how to do it. So I think that's where that fear comes in. And then having individuals like you all with this organization, having people with the passion and the drive to kind of push them and see that their potential is beyond their imagination, actually. So that's very good. VetJobs is definitely a hidden gem. Let me say that.
We think so.
Definitely. Well, is there anything that you all feel like you would like to share with the viewers out there, potential customers, that we did not cover?
I can't think of one. Just, let us help you. We're really good at it.
Definitely.
If you can leave veterans with one note, regarding VetJobs, what would that note be? I
know what I would tell them. Melissa, who's going first? I think what I would tell them is, take time for yourself. There's nothing worse than moving right out of the military into a job. It doesn't fare well for anybody. Take the time to search out your passion and then go earn what you're worth. Don't hold yourself back. Let us help you. Let us at VetJobs and Engine help you understand your earning potential. You've got skills that you probably don't even realize you have. And that's what Melissa's team does really well, is help you earn that potential.
Absolutely. I totally agree, because my husband was, a month out from his official retirement date, and he'd already started a new job. So take time for yourself. But yeah, good for the family.
Yes.
Not so good for him.
It is the biggest thing our service members do, I think, is they jump. and you don't have to jump. I mean, there might be reasons why you need to, but okay, then come see us. You guys are there. Come see us 6 months before you get out, right? It's never too soon. We have people who we work with through the Yellow Ribbon program who are over in Iraq, Afghanistan, Egypt. They're working on their resumes while they're deployed so that they can be ready when they come back into the state.
Proactive, very proactive.
You're very forward thinking. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, 4 months proactive, but that's not bad. That's not bad.
Well, in today's market, you've got 8 interviews. It could be 4 months before you get hired. So
definitely.
Don't even get me started on that.
Especially federal.
Well, I would like to take that again. I know I said it in the beginning, but I really want to take the opportunity, Melissa and Danette, to thank you guys for coming to speak with us and giving our viewers, as well as ourselves as organization that we're, of course, partnering with you guys with more information and insight on what VetJobs entails and what it encompasses. So we just want to thank you for taking the time out to speak with us and giving us the information needed so that we can push it along, pass it out there to the service members, veterans, or family members that we encounter, or if anyone's out there watching and viewing.